There's a bizarre story today about The Voice, and there's some really good stuff coming out of the story today, and there was a bit of a wild day in Parliament, and I note that the Prime Minister said that, and I'm paraphrasing it because I didn't hear it, I just was told about it, he was into Peter Dutton about his regular chats with me and, mentioned the hard-hitting interviews conducted by me with Peter Dutton. Well, in relation to The Voice, Anthony Albanese, Mr. Dutton and I are on the same page, although from time to time we do argue about things. But I wouldn't know how I go with you because since you've been elected Prime Minister, you've never appeared on my program. You've never appeared on my program. Why? Because I challenge you, as I've challenged you in the past. And I'd be a bit more assertive than others may have been in dealing with you, despite your position as Prime Minister, which I would respect. But I'd be asking you the questions. I wouldn't take the sort of crap you give to other journalists from time to time in answering really important questions. So if you want a hard-hitting interview any time in the future, Mr. Albanese, you're most welcome to come on the program. And we won't talk about the colour of your tie, your dog's name, or whether your son has got a pass to the Chairman's Lounge from Alan Joyce. We'll talk about really important issues, like how you've buggered The Voice up. And it will be on your head that we won't get another crack. If this is voted down, to enshrine in the Constitution the first people here, which is a really important thing to do. But no, you don't want to do that. You want to have treaties. You want to do a whole range of things that there's no real taste for at the moment. But people, the vast majority of fair-minded, decent Australians, regardless of their political persuasions, want to have enshrined in the Constitution the First Nations people, the Indigenous people who were here long before white settlement in 1788. And it's going to be at your feet, if it gets beaten, that it won't be revisited in your lifetime or my lifetime. It's something that should be done and should be done this time, won't be done because you have buggered it up. So the invitation is there. You wish to come on, not to talk about ties, not to talk about the dog's name, not to talk about all the wanky stuff you do on FM stations. I'll actually ask you some serious questions and expect some serious answers, and I'll challenge you, as I sometimes do with Peter Dutton. But the funny thing about Dutton is he gives me honest answers. When's the last time you gave a broadcaster honest answers? Or you obfuscated, as you've done with my colleague Ben Fordham on a number of occasions, telling him one thing and telling people another thing. I am getting close to the stage where I thought the worst Labor Prime Minister in all my broadcasting history, or maybe in all time, was Kevin Rudd. Well, I'm now examining a developed print between Kevin Rudd and Anthony Albanese. They've hit the line locked together based on his first 13 months or 14 months as Prime Minister. They've hit the line absolutely locked together. Kevin Rudd was a galoot, and all of a sudden, flashing down the outside, maybe just to pip him in a photo, is this Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. Anyway, we'll get to that a bit later. The Voice, well, Simon Benson's got a really good comment piece about all this in the Australian today. Anthony Albanese prides himself on his tactical prowess, with the Labor having become accustomed to dominating the politics in Parliament. But the Prime Minister is rapidly turning one of Labor's strengths into unexpected and unfamiliar point of vulnerability, undermined by repeating tactical failures over The Voice. Political advantage for the government, normally offered by question time, is being eroded by an accumulation of confused and tortured explanations. It is no longer just about the lack of detail on how The Voice would operate. A new element has been injected into the debate, and it's potentially more damaging. Labor has well-publicised commitment to delivering the Uluru Statement in full. That involves treaty and truth-telling, with The Voice being the first priority. Nothing new in that, he says. But the government's apparent lack of strategy to deal with inevitable attempts to link The Voice to treaty is bewildering. Albanese's response to questions on this have been punctuated by contradiction and imprecision. The coalition accused him of deception. Suddenly, the political battle has been widened. When Albanese accepted Peter Dutton's challenge to debate the issue on a suspension of standing orders, the Liberal leader asked pointed questions, to which no answers were provided. He accused Albanese of willfully withholding detail. Albanese responded by accusing Dutton of fueling division for political advantage, goading him for his refusal to attend the Garma Festival this weekend. Well, the reason he's not going is because it's a yes-a-thon. The Garma Festival, as good as it is and has been, is a yes-a-thon. Why would a bloke who's in opposition, opposing the Voice and leading the no charge, go to a yes-a-thon? What, to get shouted down and ridiculed? I don't blame him for not going. He writes today, Simon Benson, Dutton believes he's got little to lose in doubling down. Few people take notice of what an opposition says or does. They're far more likely to pay attention to what the government's doing. And the coalition is succeeding in making it appear Labor is consumed by the Voice, with little attention being paid to primary concern for most, the cost of living. The cost of living. Remember the promise that the power bills had come down by $275 a year? They've gone up by about $500 a year.